Hi guys, it's Spencer. Welcome to Sphynx Reads. Today I'll be doing the My Bookish first tag. So I was tagged to do this by Hugo from Scientist Reading World, and the original creator of this tag is Monica Mooney Reads. And for this tag, I'll be tagging the following people, or the following creators. One, Janelle from Janelle Reads, Tiffany from Just a Dream Away, and the French book Dreamer. So make sure to go check them out, especially the original creator of this tag. So the first prompt for this tag is first full-length book you remember reading on your own that is not a picture book. So the first book that I remember reading just on my own is Because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. And this was really interesting to look back and reflect on, because even though this was the first book that I had read on my own, like it was not read to me, it was not a picture book, it still is one of my favorite books of all time. And I think that's saying something, especially since I've read so many books since then, and this book still has a very special place in my heart. Number 2, the first series you remember finishing. That would have to be The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I have also read this series so many times. I pretty much lost count because I loved this book as a child, and I'm really wanting to reread the whole thing because nothing that I have read since has quite captured or scratched that itch that Narnia gave me after finishing the series. So I'm really looking forward to rereading this. Number 3, the first book-to-movie adaptation you remember watching, knowing that it was a book-to-movie adaptation. So for this one, my answer would be Prince Caspian. I'd actually watched the first Narnia movie, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, prior to even being aware about this book series. When I watched it as a kid, it became instantly one of my favorite movies of all time, and had no idea how influential this series or this story has been, not just in fantasy but in literature in general. And so I read the book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then read Prince Caspian right before the movie came out. Number 4, first book crush. I do not support the author of this series, but it really, this character right over here really has been my first book crush. I remember watching the trailer for The Goblet of Fire for the first time and seeing her in that dress, which, looking back now, I don't know, it doesn't look as good as I thought it was back then, but I remember seeing that for the first time and just absolutely swooning as a kid. So yeah, there you go. Number 5, first bookish friend. So I don't really know what they're referring to. Is it a friend who also likes books, or a friend who is also a bookish content creator? So I'm just going to answer both. So the first one I'm not going to name. It's a friend of mine from high school. My freshman year, I had just switched schools to enter this new private high school, and I didn't have a ton of friends. I actually faced some kind of bullying, but this friend in particular, as soon as I found out that she loves to read, I immediately started talking to her about books and all of these random things, and we shared a love for reading. And even though we're not really in contact anymore because we just kind of drifted apart, there's nothing bad that happened, I still really appreciate the influence that she's had on my life. And I guess for the first bookish friend that I've made, I would say the first people who welcomed me into the Booktube community, I don't know the exact order of who came first, but there's 3 that come to mind, and that's Ray the Reader, or Ray from Ray the Reader, Charm from Charm in Wonderland, and Mui from A Cup of Mui. I'll link their channels down below as well. Number 6, the first adult book you remember reading not for school. So I was actually glad that when I looked back on the first adult book that I've read that wasn't for school, I found this book, and this is honestly such a hidden gem. Nobody knows about this book. I've only ever met or seen one other person on the internet know about this book, and that is Mrs. Polyphax and the Golden Triangle. I would say this is kind of a crime thriller, but here's the catch. Our main character is a senior citizen. Mrs. Polyphax is she's so amazing, she's so skilled, she knows karate. Can you imagine that? An old woman who knows karate, and in this story, she goes to Thailand, and there's a smuggling case going on that she has to solve. She's part of the CIA. I mean, I've already mentioned that, but this book was such a page-turner, and I loved every aspect of it. I don't want to give too much away because this book has so many twists and turns, but that's all you need to know. It's a thriller. The main character is a senior citizen, and you should absolutely just go check out and read this book. Again, Mrs. Polyphax and the Golden Triangle by Dorothy Gilman. Number 7, the first character role model. That would have to be Puddleglum from the Chronicles of Narnia again. Even though Puddleglum, he appears only in the 6th book in the series, and at the beginning he's kind of a wet blanket. He's super pessimistic, which I kind of like related to because I tend to be a pessimist. But there's a specific scene from The Silver Chair that I absolutely loved, and it really resonated with me, and it still does. I don't want to give it away because it's such a turning point in the story that it'll basically spoil the whole story for you if I tell you what it is. But Puddleglum has to be one of my favorite characters for that reason. Number 8, the first author you were truly inspired by. I would have to say Cornelia Funke. Funke? I think that's how I say it because I have German friends now, so I was able to find out how this author's name is actually pronounced. Just like reading about her journey being an illustrator first, and then being kind of dissatisfied by how certain stories were told, and so she proceeded to write her own books and illustrate them. It's just really fascinating, and I am looking forward to reading more from her. Number 9, the first book that you remember touching or moving you. Again, this is from the Chronicles of Narnia. That would have to be The Last Battle. I remember, even as a kid, just like reading like the ending, it just like totally moved me. It really warmed my heart and made me yearn to live in Narnia and just explore that world, which is why I want to read something else that's not Narnia that would scratch that itch that I've been wanting to have scratched, if that makes sense. So if you have any recommendations of any like Narnia-esque stories, like either just like the setting or the vibe or any similarities with that series, please recommend them in the comments down below. Number 10, the first classic you read not for school. So this is kind of a tie because I think the first classic that I've read is technically Treasure Island, but I had read like a super abridged version of it. It was like only like 100 pages or something, and I'm not sure how long the actual Treasure Island is. And I really enjoyed Treasure Island, and I have to reread it and read the original this time. But in terms of like the full-length classic that I've read the first time, that wasn't for school, it has to be The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. I know this has a lot of issues, like it has very racist themes, but I remember really loving this story and connecting with the characters so much, and I still consider it as one of my favorite books. Number 11, the first YA book you read. That would have to be The Maze Runner by James Dashner. I know that James Dashner is a problematic author, but this is my honest answer. It really was the first YA book that I've read. Number 12, the first ebook that you read, and my answer to that is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I still remember this was back when iPads were new. Like first we had the iPods and now the iPads were being rolled out. And like I think A Christmas Carol is one of those books that you could get for free like on the like iBook store or something. And we had it downloaded, and I loved the story. I knew the story, but I haven't read the original at that point. And so when I read it, I really enjoyed it. But I remember since it was my first time reading on an ebook that was not a Kindle, so there was like a backlight, it really hurt my eyes, but I still thought that it was worth it. I still love A Christmas Carol, and I'm looking forward to rereading it at some point. That is it for my Bookish firsts tag. It's so hard to pronounce, but thank you, Hugo, for tagging me, and I'm looking forward to watching the following people's videos. Again, Janelle from Janelle Reads, Tiffany from Just a Dream Away, and the French book Dreamer. I don't know if they've done it or if they will do it, but I hope you guys do. Let me know in the comments your answers to any of these questions. I would love to keep chatting with you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please forget to subscribe so that you can do it later, and have a good day.